Good morning. I'm on my way to meet my builder with a business partner. We've got quite a bit going on. We've got about a couple of million quid worth of development going on at the moment, with the potential for another 1.2 million on top of that. So we need to make sure that he's on top of everything and we're on top of him, making sure that everything's coming in on time, on budget as much as it possibly can be. There's always curveballs. How we're getting on with councils and planners and all that other good stuff. So I'm not that guy really that, I've said before, the more time I spend on site, the less money I make. I cause more problems than it's worth me going down there. So the business partner that I'm working with on these developments specifically, he takes that role more than I do. I'm generally the finding the deals, raising the money, building the relationships with investors and agents and property sellers and all that other good stuff. And he generally does all the, in my opinion, monotonous stuff, dealing with councils, getting planning pushed through, working with people to make sure planning gets pushed through. He doesn't do it all himself. Keeping refurbs on time, on budget, and all that other good stuff. And it's all about being a team. And it's a bit of a cliche, but there's no such thing as a self-made success or whatever. Everything's interconnected and interdependent on everything else. So you need the right people around you. There was a book I read by Benjamin Hardy called Who Not How. And that was about how we usually ask ourselves the wrong question. We ask, how can I do this? Rather than who can I surround myself with or bring into the company, or hire on a freelancer consultancy type basis who can do this better, more effectively than I can do it. Rather than asking, how can I do it? And spending your own time, which might take a long time, plus more money, plus opportunity costs, doing it yourself. Why not just bring somebody in who has already mastered that art, pay them accordingly, and get the work done, probably to a higher standard than you'd be able to do it yourself. So that book was Who Not How by Benjamin Hardy. And obviously that's just scraping the surface. There's a lot more to it than that. Yeah, recommended reading. And the builder that we work with, he's done, I wouldn't even know how many conversion projects, offices to HMOs, offices to apartments, houses to HMOs, probably in the thousands. In terms of individual units, definitely in the thousands. So there's a lot of experience there. He has his pros and cons, as we all do. We are looking for other teams to work with locally. We are always looking to build our network of architects, builders in general, light refurbishment teams. So if you're watching this and you're in and about the West Midlands, please shout me up. Always worth a conversation. We've just acquired a block, an old office building in, I think it was probably an Edwardian building, to convert into at least, all being well, 9 apartments. It's grade 2 listed, so we're going to expect a few pushbacks, but we think it can be done. I don't know what else the planners think can be done with it other than a residential conversion. And it's just outside the town centre, which is good because this specific council want more people in the town centres and living in the town centres, as I think a lot of them do now. So all being well, that's going to be pushed through. I mean, we expect probably a 6-month turnaround on that because of all the stuff that listed buildings have around them, heritage statements and historic England and all that other good stuff. Again, my business partner on that will take that on. Much of that work, I sort of strategically oversee everything, making sure that everything's pulled together, but he takes that role specifically. In your partnerships and with the teams that you've got around you, just make sure you're doing what you're good at. If you look at the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, 20% of your effort creates 80% of the results. The other 80% of your efforts generally don't do too much. And I actually think it's more than that. I think you're more, because of the way technology's gone and everything's more exponential and everything now, I think you're looking at more 90-10 than 80-20. So 90% of your results come from 10% of your effort. So you're there to find out what that 10% is. Look back at your results, look back at your history and see what sort of your results have shown you and the causes of how to get you there. Focus on that 10% rather than on the other 90% that hasn't moved you very far forward. It becomes quite apparent, and you'll see it in other people when you actively try and become aware of it. You'll see that a lot of people are being busy rather than focusing on the 10-20% that's actually creating the vast majority of the impact. Something to certainly focus on. So we had a meeting this morning with the Polish Donald Trump, Marek Kozmela. Great builder, good designer, a little unreliable at times. I'm sure we're not speaking out of turn. We had a bit of banter with him about it this morning. How'd you find it?
Yeah, it was as informative as it normally is, wasn't it? With somebody with the experience that he's got coming to speak to us about the buildings that we've bought over recent times, which we're going to develop with him. It's always informative, like you say. You wish he was a little bit more reliable and efficient in terms of
timescales.
Yeah, timescales.
Getting things back
to us. Yeah, but in terms of his knowledge, that's what you pay for, isn't it? You know, we haven't got that brain. He's got a builder's stroke engineer's brain.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he has.
Which is different, isn't it? But so yeah, very useful again. Good contact to have. We debate going away from it, or at least having a competitor for him, I should say, and that might come in time with more and more developments probably happening at the same time. But as it stands now, for the work that he does for us, the type of apartments, HMOs, top-end HMOs, he's bang on the money, isn't he?
Yeah. What do you think? What would you suggest to people is the best questions and like relationship building things you can do with a builder?
It's like two questions, isn't it? That relationship building. Obviously, if you're giving a builder continuity of work, you're going to have a happy builder. If you're giving him strong payment terms, you're going to have an even happier builder. So if you can combine that in a relationship, like you've come across this financier, haven't you, this last week, who's able to provide us with some development finance, with more flexibility from our end than what you normally get in terms of, i.e. what you get on day one, compared to what we've been offered on with other products.
Yep.
And if we can use that to our advantage in terms of, look, Mary, can you sort us out, maybe get it done, the job done a month quicker, for example, saving us 16 grand, we'll pay you 14 days instead of 30 days, because it doesn't really matter to us anyway, because we've already got the money land on
Draw
day
it down
one.
when we want it, yeah.
Then those are the sort of things you can use to advantage, can't you?
Yeah. People don't understand the importance of time with the money, man. With
cash flow, with everyone, especially in the property business. It's just fucking massive, isn't it? It's absolutely massive.
People don't understand time is money. They don't realise the power of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and for everybody involved, that is as well, isn't it?
It's only when you're working with bigger numbers that you recognise it.
It's time is money from the respect of, obviously getting a job turned around as quickly as possible before you can start getting it cash flowing.
Yeah.
It's shortening the programme as best as you can to make it realistic for the builder to complete on time, so that you're spending less money on interest and making you more profitable. It's huge, isn't it? especially when you're doing the sort of things that we do, where we are borrowing large sums of money, like most investors, developers do anyway. It's a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've worked out on this one, and it's going to cost us 16 grand a month, circa 550 pound a day. So yeah,
obviously that's retained. You don't pay that, so
which is again,
you've got to
another
make
big
sure the deal's
positive.
good enough with a good enough GDV to take that interest.
Yeah.
Don't forget we're borrowing around 1.2 million all in, more than that.
Yeah,
It's a lot of money, man.
it is.
So the right team around you, the right people around you, the ones who can tell you you're being an arsehole when you're being an arsehole, that's a good person to have around you as well. And you got things wrong, you need to be humble enough to listen. Know what you're good at, know what you're not good at.
Yeah, it's an opportunity, isn't it? This, we spoke about it earlier, about how we want to design our properties. We've got the potential opportunity to, fingers crossed if planning goes where we want it to do 10 real nice apartments, haven't we? And 21? Yeah, 21 studio type apartments. So this is basically the start of what will be our brand, won't it? And how we design buildings going forward to set yourselves out
To that scale, yeah.
The opportunities now in it to do that, and then it becomes a standard, doesn't it? Like a minimum standard, but your minimum standard's very good, very high end, so that you stand out in whatever area of the country you do your property work in. We seem to have gone about dominating a part of Worcestershire at the minute that we've mentioned countless times, building relationships along the way with local agents who in turn you'd hope would start offering us properties before they go to the market. That's the way that these relationships can go, innit? You get these opportunities come across your desk without having to do anything for them. So yeah, this will be like an encapsulation of the last, well, by the end of the development, probably 2 to 2.5 years worth of work over that way, won't it?
Yeah, you'd think so, yeah. A lot of it's planning now, isn't it? How long's that been in planning now? December?
Take planning, it was the initial purchase.
Oh god, yeah, it was a nightmare, wasn't it?
A lot of learnings along the way though, isn't it?
Yeah. But in the bigger overall picture, other than stamp duty, which we had to find, legals, other than that, we haven't put any money in.
Yep. Fascinating. It's incredible, isn't it?
With the investor who's sunning himself in Thailand.
Just sunning himself.
Yeah. And and he's doing more with us. He's helping us raise a bit more money to work with him moving forward. He's done well off his Bitcoin at the moment, so he's buzzing. So we're utilising his current dopamine hit to raise even more. And hopefully we can just keep pushing on, man. That's what it's all about, just keep pushing and expanding. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and he was talking about getting involved, and then he said, he asked me what do you do it for and stuff, and I said, well, it ain't really about the money, although the money's a nice consequence. It's about the fire that you've got in your belly, and keep powering forward. It ain't necessarily about what it gives you afterwards. It's who you've got to become to make it happen.
Yeah, it's the options that become the options that you have off the back of it as well. Whether that's through money or whatever, the extra time that you can have to go out and do more of the same thing or something similar. I was just pondering then, like in my head, where we're going, where we want to go. This is really it's at the start, isn't it this?
Yeah.
You know, do you start looking at bigger buildings to develop? So you're doing less projects and you're doing bigger one-off projects. which take even longer. They might take 5 years, 10 years to do.
There ain't many projects take that long unless you're building. Well, unless you're building flipping skyscrapers and that.
Well, yeah, but the dream is building a £1 billion property business. It's the sort of shit you've got to be looking at, isn't it?
It is, but then you've got to strategically place yourself. Is that what you want to be doing, developing, or do you just want to be buying and holding cash flowing stock? Because the wealthiest people I know don't develop.
I think you need, well, however you generate your money, that needs to come from somewhere, doesn't it? Before you can start buying the type of commercial stock that you're talking about.
Well, no, you just need the right partners, don't you? Partners who build into your vision with you and who are prepared to put the capital in.
Yeah.
Look at the profit that we've made the last couple of years. The vast majority of that has been flipping stuff off.
Yeah.
So this is where strategy meetings come in and having a clear vision at the end where you're going. So you don't get jumping around looking at bits that don't take you where you want to be going.